I would ask unanimous consent that Tim Van Raken, a fellow in my office, be granted floor privileges for the remainder of the 118th Congress.
Without objection.
Suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.
From Montana.
I ask the quorum call be eviscerated.
Without objection.
Mr. President, Montanans proudly serve in our armed forces at one of the highest rates in the nation. These veterans put their lives on the line to defend our freedoms every day. Their families make sacrifices too. These veterans and their survivors who depend upon VA benefits deserve certainty when it comes to providing for their families. As chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, I'm proud to have introduced bipartisan legislation with my good friend Jerry Moran to ensure that these benefits are keeping pace with the cost of living. This bill, the Veterans Cost of Living Adjustment Act, is legislation that must pass. Each year, millions of disabled veterans, surviving spouses, and their children rely on tax-free compensation for disabilities sustained during their military service. This income helps cover groceries and prescription medications, rent, electrical bills. It also helps veterans replace clothing damaged by their prosthetic or orthopedic devices. Our bill directs the VA to increase veteran compensation so that folks across the country, including 30,000 veterans in Montana, and survivors get the support that they need to stay afloat. At a time when many Montanans are struggling with rising costs from housing to health care to groceries, this cost of living increase will help give our veterans a little more peace of mind. Today, we have the opportunity to put political differences aside and come together for the men and women who risk their lives for this country. Let's pass this bill. With that, I will turn it over to my friend, Senator Jerry Moran.
Mr. President.
Senator from Kansas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to join the chairman of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs in asking that the Senate pass the Veterans Compensation Cost of Living Adjustment, the COLA Act of 2023. This is not the first time we've done this. This is an annual occurrence, and it is good to be back in suggesting to my colleagues that this nonpartisan bill we once again come together to pass in this year, 2023. This legislation makes certain that the VA's compensation benefits, which millions of Americans, thousands of Kansans receive, and that their survivors rely upon, that it keeps pace with Social Security and is adjusted to match the Consumer Price Index. As we enter another year of crushing inflation, as we unfortunately enter another year of crushing inflation, this common sense legislation is necessary so that veterans and survivors are able to keep pace with rising costs, make ends meet, and continue to receive the support they have earned and deserve. Yesterday, March the 29th, was National Vietnam War Veterans Day and the 50th anniversary of the last combat troops leaving Vietnam. This is an opportune time for us as a Senate, us as a Congress, us as a country, to once again commit to making certain that veterans and their survivors receive the due support, the due respect, and the due recognition they deserve. I want to take a moment to address a concern that veterans have brought to me regarding a December 22 report from the Congressional Budget Office and a proposal that was put forth to means test veterans' disability benefits. I do not support this idea, nor am I aware of any member of Congress who is pursuing that idea, but it's running around on social media. And if we can assure our veterans that that's not a likelihood, that is a valuable thing to do and provide them some certainty and eliminate some fear that they and their families may have. Let me assure veterans and their loved ones, right now I would oppose any legislation to enact that proposal. As ranking member of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, I know it is our responsibility not only in our committee, but within this Senate chamber to take care of our veterans, many who rely upon the Department of Veterans Affairs for financial support. This bill, once again this year, will help do that. I appreciate the cooperation of the chairman from the committee, and with that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Senator Moran, Mr. President.
Senator from Montana.
Senator Moran, I appreciate your comments on means testing. It is absolutely a non-starter, and that information is revolving around on the Hill, and it's best to nip it in the bud, so thank you for that. Mr. President, I would ask consent that the Committee on Veterans Affairs be discharged from and the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of S777.
Clerk will report.
S777, a bill to increase, effective as of December 1st, 2023, the rates of compensation for veterans with service-connected disabilities and so forth, and for other purposes.